Joburg Mayor Kabelo Gwamanda slamming the DA for boycotting today's council meeting. The DA did not attend the sitting to elect a new speaker. They said it's an extraordinary sitting at the expense of residents and ratepayers.
The opposition not being here is actually sad, to say the least, because if they had any conflicting views on the business of council, and the question that you had asked earlier on in particular about whether or not the Speaker is going to continue with the appeal, I think for that one, Madam Speaker, it's an executive function and it still remains in place. We filed an appeal. That's why the city manager in his capacity was the one that was presiding over the council sitting. So the integrity and the legitimacy of council is intact. We have the numbers. We will continue to defend the current administration, and we will ensure that we strengthen each other to ensure that we deliver on the services to the residents in the city of Johannesburg.
Well, Belinda Kayser-Echeozonjoku is the leader of the DA caucus in Joburg. She joins us now. Councillor, good afternoon to you. Thank you for your time. Why didn't you actually go to attend the council meeting this morning?
Well, we've put it out in the statement that we are not attending this council meeting because we are of the view that it is an additional cost that could have been avoided. This is an extraordinary council sitting. We have a council meeting on the 29th and the 30th of November. There's already precedence that an extraordinary council meeting can be held on the same day as a council meeting, and then we proceed with the business of the day of an ordinary council sitting, and thereby saving the residents the additional costs that today has incurred.
Okay, people voted for you in 2021, and if people voted for you, don't you have a duty to represent the people who voted for you in today's meeting?
Correct. We have a duty to represent people in our capacity as councillors. But as I said before, today is an extraordinary council sitting, first of all. Today, none of the questions that we had posed to the executive would be answered in today's council sitting, thereby for us being able to respond to our residents with regards to any of the queries and the service delivery issues that would normally be able to be answered in a normal council sitting. In fact, we are of the view that today we represented our residents by not being part of an extraordinary council sitting that could have been avoided, that could have saved the residents up to 600,000 rand. Just to give you, to put residents in the picture, Stephen, up to date, the extraordinary council sittings of the city of Johannesburg has been 24, which is outside of the normal council sittings, accumulating an estimated cost of about 14.5 million rand, which you and the residents are paying for. Now, we are of the view we cannot add to that figure by these additional costs that are being accumulated by the city of Johannesburg.
Councillor, I don't think you can make the argument that you're representing residents and voters by not showing up. Surely you have to show up to actually represent them. Surely a much more democratic thing to do would have been to put up your own candidate. I still can't understand how you can say you're representing residents by not showing up.
We are not showing up. We are making the argument that we are not showing up and we're representing our residents by saving the residents, by highlighting the fact that this is an additional wastage of residents' money. Just today, for example, we have residents who are without power and water. None of those questions would be answered in the council sitting today. Residents are 5 months without water, and none of these will be answered in the question today. Today they have had marquees and all other expenses that could have been avoided. And we're saying, have the council sitting. Why did you not have the council sitting on the same day as the ordinary council sitting? And then residents would not have to pay for the unnecessary expenditure today, and we are still representing our residents inside our wards as well. We do not need to be in council for an extraordinary council sitting when none of the questions that we need to ask the executive would be answered inside today's sitting. This meeting today could have been on the 29th, where we could have also had the questions of water, electricity, power being answered inside that council sitting, but that we would not have the opportunity to do that today.
Okay, but Councillor, it can also look like you knew you were going to lose, that any candidate you put up would lose, and so you only play the game, you only rock up to play if you know you're going to win. It can look like that too.
No, I disagree with you, Stephen, because we are asking for the dissolution of council. We do not believe that voting for another speaker that could be out in the next few months when the current coalition have fights among themselves and one of the parties decide to break ranks and then we have another council sitting. We don't believe that the revolving door of mayors and councils and speakers is going to assist with the queries that we have. Water, power, roads that are not being fixed, and added expenditure. At the moment, the city is spending money on an appeal that could have been spent on residents' queries for service delivery.
Okay, Councillor, I do think we need to stick to the issue at hand, which is, if you say that the current coalition of political parties, so the ANC, the EFF and the Patriotic Alliance and a few others, will collapse, that's your prediction, not mine, but your prediction. The way to do that, then, the best political strategy is to put that under pressure. One of the ways you do that, to put them under pressure, is to pitch up.
One of the ways to do that under pressure is to call for the dissolution of council. We would not have an opportunity to call for the dissolution of council in this meeting. And that is why we are saying we represent our residents by saying we cannot be part of additional cost that is not going to serve the residents of Johannesburg. We are saying dissolve the council. This speaker that it was elected today was very much part of the decisions that is currently in court with the city manager. So we don't see any change that's going to happen even with the current speaker that has been in the she was part of some of the irregular decisions that are being made that are currently inside the courts. So we are saying we are representing our residents by saying enough is enough. We are not going to be part of irregular decisions that are costing you and I more money by having additional meetings without any regard for the residents of Johannesburg.
Okay, Councillor, you told us the same thing, I think, on Monday last week as well about dissolving the council. I understand that has been the ANC and Joburg strategy and has in fact been your suggestion for some time. Let's just be clear, it's not going to happen unless the ANC agrees. Only if you and the ANC vote for that can it happen. You need a 2/3 to dissolve a council. So until that happens, is this the kind of strategy you're going to play? You'll come to some meetings but not others. You'll represent your voters at some meetings and not others. Because frankly, you know and I know that the DA is not going to agree to that.
In fact, Stephen, no, it's not our strategy to come to some council sittings and not others. It is our strategy to represent our residents at all times. And part of that is not to agree to decisions that are irrational, that could cost residents money. We know that we do not have the numbers. And that is why we put it in every political party's court to say, you know that the city of Johannesburg, the legislative arm of council have failed, the executive arm of council have failed. And having different speakers and different mayors is not going to fix the situation in Johannesburg. You then, as political parties, talk among yourself, talk to your voters, and really see if any of these is going to make a change by just people juggling for positions. We're saying dissolve council. Talk among yourself, decide among yourself whether the current service delivery is just going to be changed by having a different mayor and different political parties juggling for positions. We are saying we are calling on all political parties to support the DA's call, but we cannot force our decision on others, but we are appealing to them to obviously support our decision to get service delivery back on track in the city of Johannesburg. And we can only do that if we give power back to our voters.
Councillor, thank you. Councillor Belinda Kayser-Echeozonjoku is the leader of the DA caucus in the city of Joburg. Well, to